We all have that one friend or neighbor who's always dealing with car problems. I'm Mike Anderson from Garage IQ, and today we're counting down the worst cars with the most complaints. And if you're like me, you might be shocked to see which trusted brands appear on the list more than once. Number 13. The Honda Civic. The Honda Civic is known for being a solid, reliable car, but not every model year lives up to that reputation. Certain early 2000s Civics had serious transmission issues, especially the 2001 and 2002 models. Drivers reported rough shifting, slipping gears, and complete transmission failure well before hitting 100,000 miles. Some unlucky owners even had to replace the transmission multiple times. Another common complaint? The paint. Honda had a well-documented issue with clear coat peeling, making these cars look older and more worn out than they should. Not a deal breaker, but definitely frustrating. Number 12. Dodge Intrepid. The Dodge Intrepid looked cool for its time, sleek, futuristic, and surprisingly roomy inside, but under the hood was a ticking time bomb. The Intrepid came with a 2.7-liter V6 engine, which was notorious for oil sludge buildup. Even with regular oil changes, this engine had a habit of clogging up and failing completely, sometimes before 70,000 miles. The result? A costly engine replacement, sometimes as high as $5,000, which was often more than the car was worth. The Intrepid also had a habit of randomly shutting off while driving, often due to a failing camshaft or crankshaft position sensor. Imagine cruising on the highway and suddenly losing power. Terrifying. Number 11. Dodge Ram 1500. The Dodge Ram 1500 has always been a popular truck, but depending on the model year, it can be an absolute nightmare to own. The early 2000s models? Brutal. One of the biggest problems it has was the infamous death wobble. Owners reported that at highway speeds, the front end of the truck could start violently shaking, making it almost impossible to control. Some blamed it on weak suspension components, while others pointed to poor steering design. Either way, fixing it was costly and in some cases only a temporary solution. The Ram 1500 also had one of the most failure-prone transmissions of any truck in its class. Slipping gears, delayed engagement, and total failure were all too common. Number 10. Ford Escape. At first glance, the Ford Escape seems like a solid choice. A compact SUV with decent space, good fuel economy, and a price tag that won't break the bank. But dive a little deeper and you'll find that certain model years were plagued with issues that left owners frustrated and broke. The 2005 to 2008 models were infamous for transmission problems. Many owners reported jerky shifting, hesitation, and in some cases, total transmission failure before even reaching 100,000 miles. Replacing it could cost over $4,000, making it one of the most expensive problems Escape owners faced. Some models also had electronic power steering systems that could fail without warning, making the car incredibly difficult to steer. Ford eventually issued a recall, but not before thousands of owners had to deal with unexpected steering failures. Number 9. Ford Focus. If there's one car that gave Ford a ton of headaches and lawsuits, it's the Focus. At the center of the problem was the power shift transmission. This dual-clutch transmission was supposed to provide better fuel economy, but instead, it became one of Ford's biggest blunders. Several owners reported constant jerking, shuddering, hesitation, and premature failure. Some even had the transmission replaced multiple times. And let's not forget the electrical problems. Door latches that wouldn't stay shut, malfunctioning backup cameras, and infotainment systems that froze or crashed. Ford eventually admitted the design was flawed, but the damage was done. By the time they extended the warranty and settled lawsuits, thousands of owners had already spent big money on repairs. Number 8. The Jeep Cherokee. The Jeep Cherokee is supposed to be a rugged, capable SUV, but certain years of the Cherokee, especially the 2014 through 2019 models, became known for all the wrong reasons. For starters, the 9-speed automatic transmission was a mess. It was supposed to improve fuel economy, but in reality, it led to harsh shifting, hesitation, and outright failure. Some owners reported their Cherokees randomly going into neutral while driving, definitely not something you want happening at highway speeds. Then there were the engine problems. The 2.4-liter Tiger Shark engine in these models had a massive oil consumption issue. If you weren't constantly checking, you ran the risk of running the engine dry and causing catastrophic failure. Number 7. Hyundai Elantra. The Hyundai Elantra built a reputation as a cheap, fuel-efficient commuter car. But certain model years, particularly 2011 through 2016, proved that sometimes cheap comes at a cost. The issue with this car was engine failure. Thousands of owners experienced catastrophic engine problems due to defective manufacturing. Some engines seized up with little to no warning, leaving drivers stranded. Hyundai eventually extended warranties and issued recalls, but by then, many owners had already dealt with expensive repairs. The steering wasn't much better. Many Elantras from this era suffered from the dreaded clicking noise in the steering column. It started as an annoying sound, but eventually led to loose, unresponsive steering. Number 6. Jeep Grand Cherokee. The Jeep Grand Cherokee has always been marketed as a blend of luxury and off-road capability, but depending on the model year, owning one could be an absolute nightmare. For instance, the 2011 through 2015 models had a laundry list of problems, starting with the engine. The 3.6-liter Pentastar V6 engine was prone to excessive oil consumption and ticking noises due to faulty rocker arms. If ignored, this led to expensive repairs, or worse, complete engine failure. Then there was the air suspension. The Grand Cherokee's Quadra-Lift system was designed to give a smooth ride, but it became a nightmare for owners. The air suspension components often failed prematurely, leaving the Jeep sitting low with an absurd repair bill. And let's not forget the transmission. The 2014 through 15 Grand Cherokees were equipped with an electronic rotary shifter that confused drivers. Several accidents were reported because people thought they had put the car in park, but they hadn't. This flaw even contributed to the tragic death of actor Anton Yelchin. Number 5. The Hyundai Sonata. The Hyundai Sonata is proof that not all budget-friendly sedans are built to last. While it offered a decent ride and good fuel economy, the 2011 through 2015 models were absolute nightmares for their owners. At the top of the complaint list was the infamous engine failure. The Sonata's 2.4-liter and 2-liter turbo engines were plagued with defects that led to premature wear, knocking sounds, and complete engine seizures. Some owners barely made it past 60,000 miles before their engines gave up. Hyundai eventually recalled millions of these cars, but not before thousands of people shelled out thousands for repairs. And if the engine wasn't the issue, the electrical system often was. Owners reported their Sonatas randomly shutting off while driving. Imagine cruising down the highway and suddenly losing power steering, brakes, and acceleration. Another major issue was the steering. Many Sonatas developed a loud clicking noise in the steering column, a sign that the flex coupler was failing. It wasn't just annoying, it also made the steering feel loose and unpredictable. If you agree with this list so far, hit the subscribe button. There's no sign up and we won't send you any emails. Number 4. Nissan Altima. The Nissan Altima seems like a solid mid-size sedan with decent styling, good fuel economy, and plenty of them on the road. But if you own this car for a few months, you'll see why it has one of the highest complaint rates in the industry. Let's start with the big one, the CVT transmission. Nissan's continuously variable transmission, CVT, in the 2013 through 2018 Altima is legendary for all the wrong reasons. It's prone to overheating, sudden jerking, slipping, and total failure, often before hitting 100,000 miles. The worst part? Replacing it can cost upwards of $4,000, and many owners reported needing multiple replacements. Then there's the excessive oil consumption. The 2.5-liter 4-cylinder engine in many Altimas burns oil at an alarming rate. If you weren't constantly checking your dipstick, you could easily run the engine dry, leading to, you guessed it, catastrophic failure. Another huge problem was rust. The floorboards on older Altimas, particularly 02 through 06 models, have a tendency to completely rot out. Some owners reported that one day they looked under their car and saw the ground, right through their floorboards. Some owners reported that one day they looked down at their feet and saw the ground, right through their floorboards. Number 3. Toyota RAV4. Toyota is known for reliability, but the RAV4 was nothing short of a disaster. If you ask anyone who's owned a 2001 through 2003 or a 2019 through 2021 RAV4, they'll probably have a long list of complaints. The early 2000s models were notorious for their defective automatic transmissions. Owners reported harsh shifting, hesitation, and total failure, often before 100,000 miles. Toyota eventually acknowledged the problem, but by the time many owners figured out what was wrong, they were already stuck with a massive repair bill. Fast forward to the modern RAV4, and things didn't get much better. The 2019 through 2021 models had serious fuel system issues, with many owners reporting that their RAV4s wouldn't properly fill up at gas stations. Instead of a full tank, the pump would shut off early, leaving them with less range than expected. Not only that, some newer RAV4s had a tendency to hesitate or shudder when accelerating, making them feel sluggish despite their modern tech. Number 2. Honda Accord. If you ask someone to name a reliable sedan, there's a good chance they'd say the Honda Accord. But what they might not know is that some model years, especially 03, 08, and 2013, are among the most complained about cars in history. The 03 Accord in particular had one of the worst automatic transmissions Honda ever made. It was prone to slipping, delayed shifting, and in many cases, complete failure before hitting 100,000 miles. Then there's the engine. The 08 through 2013 Accords came with a 2.4-liter engine that had an excessive oil consumption problem that left many drivers constantly topping off oil between changes. If you didn't stay on top of it, you risked running the engine dry, leading to costly repairs. Another common complaint was the starter. Many 2013 through 2017 Accords had a defective push-button start system, often requiring multiple attempts to turn the car on. Some owners ended up replacing the starter multiple times, only to have the issue return. To make things worse, Honda's clear coat issues plagued many Accords, especially those from the mid-2000s. Peeling paint and sun-faded roofs became all too common, making otherwise well-maintained cars look decades older. Number 1. The Ford Explorer. The 02 through 05 Ford Explorers weren't just bad SUVs, they were financial nightmares on wheels. This generation of Explorer is so infamous that even mechanics groan when they see one roll into the shop. The biggest issue it had was the transmission. Ford's 5-speed automatic in these models had a well-documented history of premature failure. There were many reports of slipping, delayed engagement, and complete breakdowns before even hitting 80,000 miles. Replacing it wasn't cheap either. Most people had to fork out around $3,000 for a rebuilt unit, and some unlucky ones needed multiple replacements. But transmission failure wasn't the only disaster waiting to happen. The Explorer also had a nasty habit of eating through wheel bearings. Many owners reported loud humming or grinding noises around 90,000 miles, only to find out that their wheel bearings were completely shot. And since this issue often affected multiple wheels, repair costs could easily add up to $1,000 or more. And then there's the infamous rear panel crack. If you've ever seen an early 2000s Explorer with a giant crack running right through the Ford logo on the tailgate, you're not alone. This defect was widespread, affecting thousands of vehicles. While it wasn't a mechanical issue, it was a constant reminder of the Explorer's poor build quality. The interior wasn't much better. Cheap plastics, broken trim pieces, and electrical gremlins plagued these SUVs. Power window regulators failed regularly, door panels separated from their frames, and the air conditioning system was notorious for developing leaks. The car was just a total mess. Which car brand have you heard the most complaints about? Let us know in the comments. And if you're looking for a car that is actually reliable, check out our video on top 17 cars that never break down.